Good evening, everyone. Historic Sim Racing Organization proudly presents round number 3 of the F1 1971 series at Monte Carlo in Monaco. I am Jason White. I'm your commentator for this race. I'll be joined by Alberto in just a few moments. This has been a rather eventful qualifying session for those of you who have been on the server, and we are doing our level best right now to make sure that everybody is in the right place. You can hear the cars firing right now. And this is the warm-up session that is starting right now, and that's going to take us about, well, we got 9 minutes and 12 seconds until that is over. Cars rolling out onto the circuit for their final warm-up session. And there are some notable absences in this race. We don't have Richard Coxon here because of his internet issues. We do not have Jakob Fredriksson here because of real-life issues other than internet issues. And those are two key championship contenders, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this race. I'm going to wait for Alberto to join. And then we can begin the pre-race show proper. So I will be back in just a moment.
User joined your channel.
Oh, there you are.
Here I am.
Hello, Alberto. All right, so we've got our warm-up session underway. And this is going to be, especially this section we see right here, the chicane by the water. That's I'm thinking that's going to be a section that's going to catch a lot of people during the race. Wouldn't you agree?
Certainly.
This is the track map we're looking at right now. This race is 1971, so it predates the modifications to the track, which occurred in 1973, where they added the swimming pool complex. So we have a quasi-straight after Sebac that leads to the gasometer hairpin, and then back to Saint-Devote. And Saint-Devote is also is a more smooth right-hander, easier right-hander than it has been in previous races. But saying Saint-Devote's a bit easier is like saying, I don't know. It's not saying a whole lot because it's a difficult corner on the best of days.
Yeah, all of the corners have been, well, most of them has been retouched, more or less, in this or that detail. But, well, overall the spirit of the track, of course, is unchanged. Funny thing is, it has been made always ever slower, even if the cars are always ever faster.
Yes, that's true. So 24 cars qualified for this race. Once they go off on their warm-up lap, we will be sure to give you the full rundown from start to finish, from the front to the back, of who is in what position. I think this is an excellent opportunity for those who are not comfortable with the with running with other cars to get a race pace down and at least get familiar with what they can expect. Let's take a look at the drivers' standings as they are right now. And as I mentioned at the outset, there's a couple people on this list that are not here today. Richard Coxon, having internet issues, is not present, but he is sharing the points lead with Grant Riddall, 15 points apiece. Jakob Fredriksson, who is also absent, is tied for third place with Peter Hlavik. They're both with 4 points, and David Jakes and Brian Janik are both tied for fifth with 3 points. In the constructors' standings, it's a Surtees show with 18 points at the top. March has got 5 points. McLaren with 4. Brabham and BRM are tied for fourth with 3 points apiece. And Lotus is running sixth right now with 2 points. So it's still early days in the championship. Anything can happen, but certainly this is a race where if you can't attend it, it's you're probably going to be wishing you had those points later, because if you're a driver who isn't in the fastest car, if you're a driver who's patient, you might be able to find yourself at the front at the end.
Yeah, this is exactly the type of races in the championship that won you the season, that will win you the season, because it's so easy to miss the points here. It's so easy not to score when you are in the fight for the championship that you can't really afford it. You will lament it very much later. And this is not the championship as the USAC, where there are points for, I don't know, 20 starters. This is a championship where only 6 people get points. Points are cheap here, but it's too easy to beat them also.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys who's missing USAC right now because you got points all the way down to 12th and you didn't even have to finish the race. And they were awarded, the amount of points were awarded based on distance of the race too, so, which is rather unfortunate. We don't have that anymore. But I believe this version of Monte Carlo that we are running here is from R Factor 2, if I'm not mistaken, and among.
Yes, it is.
And I got to say, I'm not sure who made this version, but it's quite nice.
It's done by Easy themselves.
Ah,
It's one of the tracks that comes with the same stock content.
well, I got to say, it looks really nice. The textures are nice. And the other thing that's cool is there are multiple camera angles. Some that recall, ooh, man, one of, unfortunately, many accidents I think we're going to see in the chicane in the next couple hours. But a lot of the camera angles seem to remind me of the John Frankenheimer film Grand Prix. I would be surprised if they used that as a reference. And just in general, it's a pretty well made representation of the track. It's good to see that Martin Lucena made the field because he was having issues getting. Oh, there he goes! Oh shoot! See, that's the thing. My greatest fear is that we're going to have people crashing at the chicane every other lap, and as commentators, it's going to be incredibly hard for us to keep track of this. We'll do our very best, ladies and gentlemen, but if we do miss a few accidents here and there, I would hope that you would be forgiving, because this is going to be quite, I don't want to say fast and furious because that's such a cliche to say at this point. It's going to be difficult on our end for sure. So we got trivia question lined up. We've done the points. We ran the theme song, so simply a matter of waiting for that clock in the corner of the screen to tick down, and then we can go through the grid. Any predictions on this race other than the fact that it's going to be an absolute crapshoot?
Well, we have some very skilled and very quick drivers here at the top. Those are Grant Riddle, Austin Johnson, and Greg Wasson. And, well, hard always to make a prediction. Grant Riddle is especially good at street tracks. We've seen that in the car championship last year,
yes.
How well he did in Tamiami Park. And, well, Greg Wasson is also. So if he can keep the tires in order, unless what happened at Montjuic, I think he should be a solid candidate. I mean, if I had to put money on someone, that would be Grant Riddle. But you can never discard Greg Wasson.
Yeah, I mean, Greg has had a couple of difficult races. Here's Grant right now getting acclimatized to where his pit spot is. Remember that the cars are completely exposed here on the pit lane. There is no real pit lane. They just simply pull to the side. But Greg has had a couple of races where he just put in some scintillating early drives, and then it just all fell apart towards the middle of the race. Hopefully that won't be the case from this time. There are other drivers who are showing very good form in qualifying, in particular our friend Jonatan Acerclinth. Johnny Ace is doing quite good in his Tyrrell. We'll see if he can climb up the list in today's race. Those of you will recognize Acerclinth as our commentator for Can-Am, who does such a fantastic job. So this is one of the rare opportunities that he gets to be behind the wheel, and we're always a little partial to him because he works really hard on behalf of the league. And here's another guy who's had bad luck of late, Steve Parker, driving the BRM. I don't know. We'll see if We'll see if the guys who've been having difficult races are able to come good here at Monaco. And the other thing that I would point out, apart from the fact that it's a crapshoot, it's not just a crapshoot about who makes a mistake, but also if you get caught up in somebody else's mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
If you come around a corner and someone's parked there,
yeah.
it's too easy. Yeah.
Exactly. And there you have many blind spots in this track.
Yes.
You have basically to come out accelerating out of many places where you really don't see what's coming up next. You just have to have faith and trust that everything is clear up there.
Yes.
There are, of course, yellow flags that will indicate you that something happened in your sector.
Okay,
But
we are now moving to the race session, I believe.
yeah,
Yes?
I think so. It's already indicating the 80 laps that we're going to run. And people are right now leaving for the grid.
All right. So we're going to go to the grid right now. I'm going to join in. Grant is on the pole, so I will set up the camera with him, and we'll go through the grid as we...
I'll watch from behind and see what happens at the back of the grid.
That's really interesting. Grant's not on the grid yet. There he goes. Okay. So, starting on the pole for today's Monaco Grand Prix, Grant Ridal in the number 28 Surtees. Starting second, there he is, Greg Boissin. This ought to be a really combustible front row. Greg Boissin in the number 8 Brabham. Still driving the older Brabham. Starting third in a one-off appearance, Austin Johnson. Driving the Gene Mason Racing March 7-11. Starting fourth, Ray Ridal in the Owen Racing Organization, BRM number 15. Starting fifth, Miguel Yannick in the number 5 Ferrari Mario Andretti car. Sixth is Martin Lucina in the March Engineering Alfa Romeo powered car. My goodness, Ray Ridal has been disqualified. What happened there? Plavic's disqualified. Brupak, okay, something clearly is amiss here. I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but clearly we're going to have to do something about this. Just as a, I'm just guessing that there's something to do with the cars peeling away here, and we're going to have to restart the session with no race rules. Would you agree with that, Alberto? Perhaps.
We have to restart this. Yes, this is likely. I think probably the game has wrongly understood that there were cars there on the grid. I would dispose of the warm-up lap.
All right. Well, we are going to have to pause for a moment here. We are going to do some housekeeping here, and we'll be back with you in just a moment. Please stand by.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Jason,
Yes, I'm here.
is there a warm-up lap?
Yes, there is. People are just going to have to be really. I mean, the only way that we can do it is if we quit, if we restart the entire server, and then we'd lose the qualifying grid.
Oh, shit, I had told everybody that there was.
Well, they seem to understand that this is a warm-up lap.
Okay.
So let's make sure that everybody. It looks like everybody's getting through without any trouble here.
Yeah, because everybody that was starting on the right has quickly moved to the left.
Yes.
To
Okay.
prevent crossing that white line.
Okay. Yes. So
Yeah,
it appears now that hopefully we are. All right. So I'm going to go back through the grid one more time. So starting on the front row, we have Grant Radal. Second we have Greg Boissin. Third, Austin Johnson, Gene Mason Racing. Third, rather. Fourth is Ray Radal. Fifth, it's Mikael Yannick in the Ferrari. Sixth, Martin Lucina in the March Engineering with the Alfa Romeo power. Seventh is Peter Blom driving the number 29 Surtees. Eighth is Yves Blasset in the first of the Matra cars. Number 9, or starting ninth, is David Saber in the number 20 Matra Simca. 10th, we have Jonatan Acerclinth, Tyrrell Racing Organization. 11th, Mick Chapman driving the private, or not the privateer Lotus, but the extra Lotus. 12th is Brian Janik driving the BT34 Brabham. 13th is Gerard Rion, the Ferrari. 14th is Peter Hlavik. 15th, Steve Parker. 16th, Jari Brupacher. 17th, Richard Wilkes. 18th, David Yunt. 19th, Jason White at Frank Williams Racing Cars. 20th, Juha Boss in the other regular Lotus. 21st, David Jakes. 22nd, Dana Schurrer in the CMG Racing March. 23rd is Rally Arab, and rounding out the field is Philippe Martinelli.
Okay, so Grant Riddle has already arrived to his starting spot.
Yes, he has.
Let's hope there is nobody crossing the white line this time.
It appears that everybody's doing a good job of not doing that.
Now, once the flag is dropped and we are going green, they
All right.
will have no problem doing that. But it's now when positioning themselves.
All right, we got our picture back now. So you can see the cars lining up here. And before long, we will have the start of the race. Cars building to a crescendo. And the race is underway. Lots of smoke. Everybody, look at this. Greg Boissin gets a jump, and so does Austin Johnson going into the first turn. Austin Johnson on the outside trying to take the lead, going up to Massenet. My goodness.
All the rest of the field got through turn one without problems, which is always great to see.
That's fantastic. That's great. Here they are coming through Casino, and indeed Austin Johnson's in the lead. Everybody seems to be getting through Casino Square without much trouble, and we have no DQs from the start, so good. We were able to avoid that. Coming down into Station Hairpin for the first time. Johnson leads. Boissin is in second. This is always a treacherous spot right here because everybody has the false feeling that they can, oh my goodness, people locking up through the tunnel for the first time. So Grant Radal has got some work to do if he wants to get back up to the lead. As they come through the chicane for the first time, hopefully everybody can get through here without any trouble. God, they're just threading the needle through there, Alberto.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a very different race for Greg Boissin because last time he couldn't conserve the tires because he was constantly on the attack to get some positions, while here it's much easier for him because he's already at the top and also to defend because the track is so hard to overtake. So I guess he will be able to manage the tires and then use all his aggressiveness when the race is in the closing stages.
Remember,
this will be fun to see.
Remember, this is an 80-lap race, and if the physical strain doesn't get to you going around this course, then the mental strain will. Coming down now towards Mirabeau. Your first three cars running together. Austin Johnson in the number 33 Gene Mason Racing March 7-11, followed by Greg Boissin. And then your championship, well, co-leader for the championship, Grant Riddall.
Oh, Philippe Martinelli has crashed and is out.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well,
So last classified now is incredibly David Jacks.
yeah, David had
He
some.
must have a very bad start or something like that. And he's now struggling there in the last position behind Raul Jareb.
Lucina is in fourth place. Ray Riddall is in fifth. Yves Placé sixth. Mikael Yannick in seventh. Peter Blom is in eighth. David Saber ninth. And Gerard Rion is 10th. Coming down to complete this lap.
The race is already opening a good gap.
Well,
with the other cars.
Grant is now coming much closer to Greg Boissin, so we'll see what happens as they come through the corner here. And up the
This
hill.
is what you get for running on a clean track. There is no traffic in front of you. Everything is an advantage here for the leaders.
Yes. Coming down through Massenet into Casino Square. So the thing that's really been Greg's undoing in the last few races, and I don't know if you agree with this, is just he loses patience or if he pushes too hard. So if he can avoid that and just drive a little within himself to start with, he may have A, more car left for him at the end of the race, and B, he won't get so wound up.
Yeah, remember, he is driving a quite inferior car.
Yes, he is.
So that's a good reason why he has to go everything completely flat out, always 10 tenths, because otherwise he can't keep pace with the other cars, not to mention with the top of the grid. But like I said, this time it will be much easier for him. He has not to climb many positions, he's already close to the top, and he can defend much easier.
Coming out of the gasometer hairpin. Johnson, Boissin, Riddall, Martin Lucina, Papa Riddall, Yves Placé, Mikael Yannick, Peter Blom.
Well, Grant Riddle is really pushing there. His tires are smoking and there's lots of understeer coming into the corners. He's really scrubbing those tires against the floor.
These guys are going to have to be really, really careful. Oh, we had a bit of a look there, but really, you kind of have a false hope going into the station hairpin there. It looks like you can get it done, but you can't. Oh, he's alongside now. There he goes through. Grant Riddall up to second place at Poitiers.
I don't think that Greg posed much resistance there. In my opinion, he left Grant Riddle there because he's realizing that Austin Johnson is escaping and probably hopes that Grant is able to catch him and slow him down.
Well,
I'm sure we will be seeing a very intelligent race from Greg Boissin this time.
Yeah, I mean, one would hope that we would.
Oh, look at that. Grant is already catching up quickly with...
That shot at the gasometer is quite fastest lap of the race now for Austin Johnson, 1 minute 22.672. Of course, it's early days. Peter Blom is also out of the race. Not sure what happened there. We're so consumed with, oh goodness, seeing that long shot up the hill, you can see how close they come to the barriers just to get a straight shot through.
So Raul Jareb is there trying to make a move on Juha Boss. Those are very close. And Dana Shura, oh, that was a very clever move from Dana Shura. Look at that. If you can catch it in the replay, Jason.
Let me go back, have a look here.
Because Raul was about to make a move on Juha Boss on the last turn, but Dana took the opportunity brilliantly.
Okay, here's the replay. Dana comes down to the gasometer.
She stole Raul's wallet very neatly.
Oh my God, she did. You are right. Dana was an absolute pickpocket on that turn. My goodness. That's fantastic. Thank you for pointing that out.
So Jerry Verpacher is also out now.
Oh, goodness. It continues to be a bad season for Ferrari. I mean, so far, all they have to show for this season is the 1 point that they got with Michael Yannick at Kyalami to start the year. So it hasn't been a great race for them.
Jason Whited just made it past Brian Janik at the exit of the tunnel. Oh, and Brian Janik his car has no nose cone.
Oh,
He
no.
must have hit something.
Yes, he did.
I was thinking that overtake maneuver was too easy. And
Yeah,
that's
he.
because-
We're looking at him now in a replay, and yeah, he had lost his nose cone before he even got to the tunnel.
Whoa, and Dana made a move on Juhabos. She's on fire right now.
Janik into the pit lane, stopping now for his repairs. Yeah, there he goes over the white line. That's the line that was causing trouble earlier. So he's going to stop and get his wing replaced. There it goes. The front end goes up. Hopefully he has some tires left for this weekend session. We'll see. Oh, and here come the leaders around now. So that means that Janik is going to go down a full lap. That's really unfortunate. Looking towards the gasometer, you'll see them coming up to us now. Here they come. Austin Johnson in the lead. Grant Riddall in second place. Greg Guassin in third. And then there's a bit of a gap back to fourth place, Martin Lucena, doing a great job in that Alfa Romeo powered March, I have to say. Ray Riddall, Grant Riddall's father, and Yves Boisset. It'd be nice to see, and here comes Mikael Yannick in the Ferrari. It'd be nice to see the Matra Simca team get a good result here. And right now they're in a pretty good position, I would say. They're not especially up the field, but then they don't have a lot of close quarters battle going on right now, and that might also play into their favor later. They just cruise along and wait for people to drop out. Janik,
Wow.
it looks like, is
Fastest lap. Three separate drivers have scored fastest lap now.
well, I think
Seems
that
the fuel is dropping, the fuel load, and the field is spreading, and now people have more room to make quick laps.
tires are getting warm and people are opening it up a little bit here. But the race at the front here is still really close between Johnson and
Yeah, and
Mick.
as I suspected, Greg Wasent isn't any slower than Grant Riddle. He's there. And like I said, I believe, my suspicion is that he purposely left Grant Riddle pass so that he could maybe reach and slow down Austin Johnson. Oh, a spin by Jonatan Acerclinth and Peter Lavak, who came grabbed him.
oh my goodness!
Yeah, and Jonatan is in a very, very bad position.
There
Now
he
has
is.
to move.
Let's take a look at the replay.
I believe he has either stole the car or I don't know what's happening here, but
Here's the
now
replay.
someone has hit him. Now this is really weird. He should be moving from there.
All right, so here's the replay coming through the back. And did he just lose the back end or what? Oh, he got hit, it looks like. It looks like he got hit. Actually, well, wait a minute. Let me look again. It looks like it's hard to tell. I believe he got hit. I'm going to...
Well, he's now moving. He is again now crossing the finish line. He's again in the race, but well, some drivers were, I think, quite annoyed there finding him.
No,
across the track.
he didn't get hit. He lost it on his own. It wasn't actual contact with a car. I wanted to make sure that I got that right. Yeah, that was a spin in his own, unfortunately. Well, that's too bad. So yeah, we have 3 cars out of the race now, and Brian Janik is down 1 lap.
And Grant is already putting some pressure on Austin Johnson. And I see there is now a bigger gap with Greg Wassen. Maybe some kind of driving error or something has happened there, because it's quite a big distance now.
Yeah, he has lost some ground to Grant, so we'll have to keep an eye on that and see what's going on. Meanwhile, Lucina's got kind of a quiet race going at the moment in his March Alfa Romeo. He doesn't, his nearest pursuers are a little ways back. Yves Placé.
David Jacks must have made contact with someone because the nose of his car is now bent. It's working, there's no problem, but clearly he has made contact with someone.
We've also got a potential V12 battle brewing here between Ray Radal in the BRM and...
Wow, Dana Shura spun. She
Oh,
lost
no.
it on her way up. I was watching because she was catching up with Jason White.
She's out of the race too, so let's see what happened here.
David Jacks is trying like mad to go past Raul Jareb. Now going in front of the casino, and Jacks
This is the
kept
replay at Saint-Defoe. We'll see what happened to Dana heading up the hill. Everything seems fine here. These replays are 30-second replays. Looks like she's getting out of shape here. Yeah, she got out of shape in Massenet, unfortunately, and lost both front wheels and the wings. So she is now...
Switch to Jareb and Jacks because they are having now an epic fight there. They've been going in parallel through several corners. They are now...
Here they are, yeah, they're right together, these two.
And this is what happens at this track. I mean, despite the superiority of the BRM over the old March that Raul Jareb was driving, it's not easy at all to overtake there. Oh, there he brushed the wall.
Yeah, he just brushed the wall. David just brushed the wall right there, so to watch it coming into... Oh, my goodness! Oh! Into the wall, loses his way. Oh, that's it. He's out of the... Shoot. Well, that's...
I think he was a bit angry.
Might
Because
have
in the previous turns he wasn't able to overtake Raul, and there they touched and banged wheels, and I don't think that was anything but racing incidents, but probably he was a bit with... I don't know, he had some kind of red mist over the eyes at that moment. Well,
My goodness. Well, we knew that it would be a fast and furious race, and it's turned out to be just that. Here we've got an excellent race. Yeah,
Peter Labak is putting some pressure on
yeah.
Gerard
I just picked that up as you were saying it. Hlavik and Gerard Rion. This looks like a really excellent battle, but there was also well, that's actually Janik is just behind them, but he's a lap down.
And Grant Riddle took the lead. He must have overtaken Johnson at some point.
All right, let's see if we can get a replay of this. Well, it happened a ways back. This might be a hard one to catch. It may have happened way back at the gasometer. Let's see.
There was plenty of action in the track.
For those of you who are just returning from the bathroom, the cars are not running backwards. This is us trying to catch the lead change. All right, here we go. Yes, it was. Grant tucks inside of Austin, takes the inside away at the gasometer and takes the lead. That's exactly how it happened. So Grant Riddall back in the lead now. Austin Johnson in second. But I don't think Austin's going to take this lying down. This is one of his first races with us this season. He's been attached to other cars during the early part of the year, but I don't know. There have been times where real life has gotten in the way. I think he got pretty frustrated with his own situation at Watkins Glen. I think he wasn't happy with the late track change.
So Labak has run past Gerard Rion, and Brian Janik is now closing in. And this is certainly a track where the Ferraris will not be very comfortable because they are heavier cars. They have that big Boxer 12 there on the rear, and they also suck up more fuel, which means that of course they have to load much more. So that means they are basically very heavy cars here, which is not exactly the best thing when you have to toss them around such tight corners.
He's also got a bit of damage there, Peter Hlavik, on the front of his nose, which I believe was a feature on his car at Montjuic Park as well. So he's the guy is.
The paddock now looks really like a Formula One graveyard because the cars that are there are really completely destroyed.
Well, it shouldn't be a huge shock to us. We knew that was going to be the case. Meanwhile, it does look like. Mikael Janik is doing well. Let's see. it'll be interesting to see if those who had difficult races before will do better in this particular race. I mean, we got E plus A in 5th place, who's racked up some great finishes in the Can-Am series, but he hasn't had good luck yet in F1. So we'll see if maybe today is his day.
Well, if Olivier Panis was able to win here at some point, I think this is the track where everybody has a chance.
It is. There are a lot of wins that have happened at this track that were, I don't know if you would call them improbable, but just kind of surprising. Go ahead.
No, that was, I think, lock wheels, I think it was in the case of Peter Lavallée. He's running fine, but he was really smoking there before the last turn. And I thought he maybe had a puncture, but no, everything is working fine.
All right, well, Grant is coming up now on some lapped cars, 17th and 16th place, which are Juha Boss and Rallier Reb. So we're going to see a situation here now where he's going to have to, well, he's coming up on the gasometer hairpins. And this is going to be a relatively easy overtake. Yeah, now we'll see if Austin gets caught behind him. No, Austin gets around as well. There's plenty of room there in that hairpin to let people by, so they were just very, very fortunate to have it happen in that corner. Next target for them is Rallier Reb. They are now heading up the hill, so this is a place where you really don't want to lap anybody heading up this hill because you're just threading a needle. Oh, goodness! Austin Johnson gets loose there, but he recovers. He didn't hit anything, it doesn't look like, but man, the back end just stepped out suddenly. Coming down to station hairpin, and there's Rallier Reb. He's going to have to find a way to get out of the way of these guys in a second here. Hopefully, you would hope that he would do it here just before they enter the tunnel. No.
Probably the best place is after the chicane.
After the chicane would be a great place, yes.
Because they are too far away here.
All right, coming out now down to the chicane, through the chicane. Now would be the excellent opportunity, and that's exactly what he does. Great job, Raul. Very smart driving. Excellent.
Those guys standing there with the green flag, they're really risking their lives.
Yeah, I know. Well, we got camera people on sitting on corners inside of barriers. Pretty crazy stuff.
I'll tell you, I've seen ball fighters with less risk here in Spain.
That's saying a lot. Oh, a lockup there from Grant, but he's no worse for wear. Heading up the hill now, yeah, you can see police officers and stuff like just standing out there. Yeah, no problem. We're fine. Man, he's been locking up a lot in the last few minutes coming through these corners. He's going to have to watch it. He doesn't want to overcook his tires. You mentioned earlier about the Ferraris needing to run more fuel. The Ford drivers have been finding that their cars actually run better on full tanks than they do on empty tanks. The cars are better balanced, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays into the late stages of the race when the tires are worn, the drivers are worn out and fatigued mentally, physically, and the balance of the car may not be ideal. Exiting the tunnel. Coming down towards the chicane. It really, I've tried to get that chicane down in my own spare time. I gotta be honest, I'm glad I don't have to do that chicane 80 laps. Sitting here watching it with you, Alberto, is much less stressful.
It certainly is, because people don't realize what it means to take one of these Formula One cars with a slow turning radius around these corners, because if you have a bigger steering angle, then you have absolutely no precision and are completely at the edge with the touchy car in the quick sections. But you need that full lock when you are willing to go around the chicanes. So you have to always not just get a compromise in your setup, but also, and that's very important, nail it very right in your turn entry point and the speed you are coming in, because if you get one of both wrong, it's so easy to understeer against the wall.
Exactly. Coming down to the station hairpin once again, which I've been there as late as a couple of years ago. Looks nothing like this now. I mean, the road topography is obviously the same, but it doesn't look anything like that. Ooh, Austin Johnson getting loose again, and that costs him a little bit of time. Exiting Poitiers and heading to the tunnel.
So, and I think Jonatan Acerclinth is now putting some pressure on Juha Boss.
Our good friend Jonatan. Let's see if he's. Where's he at now? There he is, 18th place, driving, and he's one lap down already. But yes, he is coming into contact with Juha, and this would be a battle for position. Man, that's quite nice. The Tyrrell's got a leather-trimmed horn pad there. That's cool, although there's no horn. No expense spared for Tyrrell team.
And we'll see what Jonatan can think about to overtake here, because this is certainly not the easiest thing to do.
No.
And if Juha has a rhythm that is close to what Jonatan has been doing, it becomes, well, almost impossible unless there is a driving error from the car in front.
Coming through Massenet now into the Casino Square. Yeah, it looks like he's certainly got a faster car right now, but it's just simply a matter of finding the right spot.
And the Lotus is a very nimble car. It should have a slight advantage here.
Looks like Jonatan
Small.
might have a small amount of damage on the nose. Yes, he does. He's got a little bit of a dent in the front of his Tyrrell. Doesn't seem any worse for wear, though.
And Janik is going very slow, probably letting cars by, but I don't think that David Junt has been lapping him.
No.
Ah, yes, of course, he did the repairs. Yeah, that
All
was
right.
lapping.
Maybe Jonatan can try something here at the gasometer. We'll see. No, too far back.
And Austin is again very close to the leader now. He's overtaking. Did he? No, that
Nope.
was with Steve Parker.
No,
sorry,
he's
I mistook it.
okay. Yeah, because he's
It was-
pretty far
yeah,
back
he's
actually
far
right now.
from the leader, yeah. Because I was watching the car in front.
It's gotten pretty quiet up at the front here. These guys are pretty spread out. Most of the action is occurring at the back.
It's Grant Riddle, then 4 seconds behind is Austin Johnson, and 10 seconds behind is Greg Wassan. 22 seconds behind is Martin Lasina, so he's 12 seconds.
Yeah,
behind.
the best battle on the track right now is for 17th place actually. But it's also yeah, I guess 19th right now also is Janik, and he's way far back. So
Now they've been shown the blue flag because Martin Lasina is coming up.
yeah, Lasina's in 4th, so he gets by.
This is going to hurt because Jonatan left.
Well, I mean, Juha's also going to have to let him by in a second too. So maybe he'll get that time back. We'll see. Coming out of Tabac.
Very good move from.
Whoa! Yeah, so he's right back in contact with him now.
Mhm.
We'll see if that gets any better. So believe it or not, I mean, we've only gone 20 out of 80 laps. So that's about only a quarter of race distance coming up here. Oh, goodness! Jonatan getting up on the curb there. He's going to have to watch it. While we have a moment here, I will introduce the trivia question for everybody. Here is the trivia question for this race. McLaren has won more Monaco Grand Prix, and notice I put the plural in the correct word there. Has won more Monaco Grand Prix than any other constructor, 15 wins. Ferrari is in second with 10 wins. Now, who is tied with Lotus for third place with 7 wins? Is it A, Mercedes, B, BRM, or C, Bugatti? Have a think about that, as Jonatan would say, and we'll be back later on to give you the answer. Oh goodness, getting really close now. He's right behind Juha. Looks like he's going to try it to back. No, not enough room. He's also got Yves Boisset coming up to lap them at the same time. The gasometer ought to be really interesting this time around. Is he looking up the... No, not really, but of course Yves is here. Oh, Yves wants to go through. Basically just says, excuse me. So now Jonatan once again has got a car in between him and the car he's pursuing. Yeah, so Grant is back into a comfortable position here. Not really contested by, he's not in any contest with Austin at the moment. We'll have to see if that changes. Yeah, Austin just now coming through to the back. And Greg, I think, is doing the tactically superior thing right now. He's just watching points, not pushing too hard. And given all the issues that Martin Lacina has been having all week, here he is running fourth, which is fantastic. And we've got Eves running fifth, so maybe it could possibly be a good day for a V12 powered car at some point, even if it's not a Ferrari or not a BRM. Maybe it's perhaps it's Matra Simca. I hear key typing. What's
Yeah, I was typing a message for you.
Oh, goodness. Well, that's unfortunate. Could possibly be down to the way that the server is set. I'm not sure what to say about that.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to watch the broadcast from the same view as the users, and then if there's something I can comment on, I will do.
It's going to be difficult, but goodness, it's a bit of a handicap from your point of view. Well, in any case, Juha's slowing down here. See, this is the problem of, finding the proper place to slow down and let someone by. Yeah, you can see right there, Jonathan's got that dent in the front of his car. Being very careful to apply the throttle, and just ahead, you can see the next car in line. I believe it is, yes, Raul Yareb is the next car that he is targeted to overtake. So hopefully Jonathan can keep the car pointed straight and keep advancing up the field. Fastest lap by Austin Johnson, 1 minute 22.201.
Yeah, he's coming up now to lap David Saber.
Well, this is it's going to be interesting to see how Jonathan handles the traffic, because when you're a driver who, oh goodness, Juha Boss is in the pits. Apparently he's got some kind of mechanical issue. Been sitting there for a little bit. Let's see if we can, yeah, he's been there a bit, at least as far as the replay shows.
And Peter Lavak and Richard Wilkes, they're also stopped.
Well, that's probably likely going to be the case. If it's people who can keep the car running, they'll be several laps down, but given the attrition rate of this race, I mean, it's a situation where you basically, even though you're out of contact with a lot of people, it's still tempting to keep going, because you don't know what's going to happen.
And one interesting thing we're seeing in this race, and we've seen so far, I think, in all of them, is how evenly matched the Matra team is. because they have always been one behind the other in all the races for most of the time. And so far, they are like that here at Monaco. And also interesting is that fastest lap by Yves Placet has been 1:22.625. And David Saber, his fastest lap has been 1:22.649. So it's barely 20 thousandths of a second that is separating them.
That is very close indeed. So we got Austin coming up now to lap. I believe it's David Yunt, yes, driving for Joe Siffert Automobiles. The gap now to the lead is about, it's kind of seesawing back and forth between 3 and 4 seconds. And then Greg Boissin is another 5 seconds back from that. So there's the overtake, exiting the tunnel.
My goodness, how is Austin Johnson power sliding the car out of the corner?
I know,
especially in the quickest one.
And as I was mentioning earlier, he has not had a lot of time, he's not had a lot of seat time racing with other people so far this year. So that could be his Achilles heel in this race. We'll see what happens. Into the gasometer. And as we look down the pit lane here, there's only one car in the pit lane right now, and that is Francois Remen. Having cars in that pit lane area is probably not as perilous as you would think, because people are good enough to like stay to the left in that situation. There's another overtake. I believe that's Mick Chapman in the third Lotus that Austin is overtaking. Gap is still hovering around 4 seconds, so we'll just have to see how things pan out with between Austin and Grant Riddall. See if they can get back together again, give us a bit more of a show at the front. Greg is still soldiering on in third place. Fourth place coming into Mirabeau is Martin Lucena, giving the Alfa Romeo boys something to cheer about. Yves Placet still being shown in fifth. Riddall in the BRM in sixth. So we've got a lot of different constructors in the top six. Mikael Yannick in seventh in the Ferrari. Could potentially be looking at another points finish if he's able to keep the car on the road and wait for attrition. Eighth for David Saber. Ninth, Gerard Rion, who hasn't really had a chance to do well in the Ferrari team just yet. And 10th is Mick Chapman. It's surprising to me that Mick is in 10th, because I don't remember exactly where he started, but he looked pretty good in practice during the week. Maybe he's just biding his time and being careful. We'll see how he does.
Well, there's already a good amount of cars that have not finished. So
Yeah.
It easily brings you higher in the grid. But yeah, he's certainly in 10th position much better than we are used to see him.
Yeah, the cars that have DNF'd so far are David Jakes, Dan Asher, Gary Brubacher, Peter Blum, and Philippe Martinelli, for those of you who are keeping track. Oh, really close quarters here. You got Jason Whitehead and Brian Janik, bunch of people together coming into the chicane. This could be a volatile situation if these guys aren't careful. Everybody's going to have to be on their best behavior. Coming through. God, these guys are really looking good. If you had seen them in qualifying, you would have thought, oh goodness, it's going to be a disaster. But then again, they were trying to do hot laps. And clearly this is a different situation. People are more likely to take risks on a qualifying lap. Oh goodness! Yeah, okay, now it's getting a bit hairy because everybody's coming to the airpin at once. Jason White is in 13th place. And he's got, actually, what's happening is he's got cars behind him that are a lap down but are actually faster than he is. So this kind of creates an awkward situation because technically he doesn't have to let them by, but on the other hand, they're faster than he is. So what does he do in a situation like this? Does he just let them go?
Well, he theoretically should let them unlap themselves.
Yeah, because
No business. They're trying to hold them back, and if they have pit, then obviously they are also on fresh tires.
they are. They've obviously. I mean, assuming they didn't blow through their 3 sets for the weekend. But yeah, they obviously they're on fresher tires. And if I were him, I wouldn't want. You see, yeah, you can tell that the stress might be getting to him a bit because now he's like fishtailing coming out of a couple of corners. So if I were him, I'd just let them go. Looks like Mick has dropped back a bit. Oh, we might have a car in the hairpin. Yes, we do. There's a car stopped there. I'm zooming in to look now. Yes, it's Mick Chapman. Mick Chapman had an issue there in the hairpin, so we'll have to go back and see what physically happened. There he is. All right, let me do the replay here. All right. Oh, I see what happened. He went down the escape road. He had an issue. He must have realized that he wasn't going to make the turn, and he went down the escape road. Let's have another look here. Oh my goodness, he ran all the way down the escape road. Oh yeah, he had to execute a. Yeah, here it is. He went down the escape road, executed a. Oh, that's a neat little turn he executed there, and then came back up the escape road.
Well, Jason Whitehead certainly has enough room because Steve Parker is the whole main stretch behind. So there's not a lot to lose for Jason Whitehead. He could easily let the others get by and maybe even be faster following them.
He could, yes.
Instead of staying in that situation.
Austin Johnson, another fastest lap recorded, 1 minute 21.41. So he's turning up the wick here. And the gap is 3.6 seconds, so it hasn't really changed much at the front. Here comes, oh goodness, Jason Whitehead trying to find a way by Richard Wilkes, who is currently in 10th place, but and that would be a pass for position, I believe. So
And it seems that Frank Riddle is now on his own hot lap.
well, Grant has done that before. He has been very good at responding to people getting quicker. If somebody puts up a good lap, it's not uncommon for him to say, "Oh, okay, I'll find another gear. Thank you very much." So that's not hugely surprising. But this is a good battle that could be shaping up here between Richard Wilkes, our Portuguese physics guru, and my doppelganger with a D at the end of his name that confuses my parents, Jason Whitehead. I can't tell you how many times I've had people saying to me, "Oh, you finished third in Can-Am, good job." I'm like, "No, it wasn't me." "Oh, we thought they just misspelled your name." "No, it's Whitehead." So he's definitely keeping pace with Wilkes, and this is a battle for position. This is a battle for 10th. Oh, goodness, Wilkes has crashed. Wilkes just crashed. And lost the wheel out of the race.
Yeah, he was certainly not having today the best of days.
Oh my goodness! Well,
he didn't seem much concentrated.
He was under pressure from Whitehead, and my goodness, here's the replay of the accident coming out of the tunnel.
Jason Whitehead was very lucky not to be.
There it was. He clipped the barrier right there. He clipped the shell barrier leading into, and that was what caused the accident. And there he goes into the barrier. Also we had Steve Parker in that accident. So there's a bunch of people who were impacted here. Yeah, we have. I'm going to run this back. We got 2 retirements here. It looks like. Steve Parker was collateral damage. I don't know if I'm using that term correctly, but yeah, he just happened to come in after the accident occurred. Yeah, here we go. Here's the initial impact. Yeah, Jason White. Oh, Steve Parker comes in there with like lots of power, and maybe it was his reaction just to what was going on at the time. So we have 2 retirements there just from that one incident. My goodness. And there's still parts all over there.
People.
It's still a parts bin all over the chicane.
And I think Steve's car has ended in the sea.
Well, then he joins a couple of other people who took a dip there.
No, there was the poles there acted as catch fans.
Oh goodness!
Otherwise, he would have been in the water.
Oh my goodness! Raul Yareb has been disqualified for some reason. Not sure why that is. Yeah, Yareb has been. Oh goodness. Well, I guess we're not going to get to see what happened, but he's been demoted clear to 24th. So I don't know what happened there.
Maybe he also reversed or something like that in one of the escape routes.
It occurred to me that Chapman was taking quite a risk doing that because he would have had to reverse the escape. Okay, now we've got a battle for the lead brewing here because according to my chart, there's only a half-second difference now between Austin Johnson and Grant Riddall. There he is. You can see him from his cockpit. The march of Austin Johnson. Not a March engineering march, rather it is a privateer march. Yes. Sponsored by Triple R Oil Filters. Those of you who like pirates, this is your car. Arr! This car was driven in 1971 by safety magnate Skip Barber. Or, I'm sorry, no, wait. No, he's not a safety magnate. He opened a school. I was thinking of another privateer who drove occasionally, and that would have been Bill Simpson.
And Barber was a fairly talented driver.
Yes.
He just didn't have a real good chance. He was one of those American drivers that was completely enamored of European racing and did very well in Formula One, very much like Dan Gurney.
Yes.
Much less known, of course, but a very decent driver anyway.
And once again, Skip Austin Johnson doing an excellent job drifting through these corners, coming up to the. Oh, maybe taking it a bit too far there. Oh, shoot! Be careful, Austin. Good grief.
Well, he's been doing that all the race now.
Yeah, he's lapping Mikael Janek now.
Power slides are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, he's definitely exciting to watch. I'll say that. Whether it's quicker than well, he's got a 0.3 second gap now between himself and Austin or Grant. I would wager to say that Grant got caught up in traffic or made some kind of mistake.
User joined your channel.
At some point. Oh, and we have someone in the booth with us. Jonatan.
Hello.
So we were watching some of your battles for a bit. Looked like if you kept it going, you could have potentially climbed up the ladder. What happened?
Game crash.
The game crashed.
Yep.
My goodness.
I have no idea why. I've checked the trace file. There's nothing obvious that went on. It's just one of those racing incidents, I suppose.
Well, that's too bad, Jonathan, because we were thinking that you might have a chance at doing really well. So you have our you have our sympathies. But on the other hand, we do have a potentially good battle for the lead going on here between Austin and Grant Riddall. Unfortunately, well, it's now opening up a bit. The gap is now about 0.7 of a second. But Austin has been showing ability to reel him in here and there using a really, really dramatic power sliding technique coming out of these corners. He is absolutely, literally and figuratively letting it all hang out.
Not that his rear tires will be very happy with that for a long time.
No, they will not. Goodyear engineers will have will be wanting those after the race to do some research on those. We've had some rather dramatic accidents at the chicane, as you might well guess. But I don't know. By and large, I'm surprised. I mean, I think for the most part, people are doing pretty good. I had predicted quite cynically that there would be only 5 finishers in this race. I think Jonatan said he thought there'd be 8. I'm thinking Jonathan's probably going to be right.
I did indeed.
Yeah. So I'm thinking your prediction might actually come true. So the gap is. Well, the gap is now.
If you were still in the race, it would be 7th. So
Yeah. Yeah.
True enough.
The gap is now steadily increasing, like about 1/10 of a second a lap. So, well, now it's down to 0.65. It accordions a lot, actually, depending on. Well, okay, I see why it is now, because Grant Riddall is lapping. I believe that was Ray Riddall. Yes, Ray Riddall was the last car in the lead lap, so he is now a lap down. So the next target will be E plus A. So very shortly, we're going to have less than 5 cars in the lead lap. Well, we do have less than 5 now, but we're going to have even less than that. Very shortly.
Well, Austin is doing certainly a good impersonation of Dominic Toretto, because the way he's driving is really fast and furious, I think, with the cars sliding all around.
Yes.
It's amazing that his tires are holding there.
So I don't have any coming up next title cards for HSO, but for those of you who are curious about what's oh my goodness, Jonatan really is like, I don't know how he does that lap after lap without crashing. We don't have a race next Sunday. We do have, there may be ISO action going on in our sister league. You'll have to talk to Mr. Coxon about that. Then we have our next, I believe the next race that will come up is our Can-Am race at Mid-Ohio, which ought to be an excellent event. And we also are going to do another Gold Star race. We were going to do the Jaguar Intercontinental Challenge at Spa, but then we realized that the correct version of Spa was not available on AMS. So we're going to do Silverstone instead. But that should be fun with those cars in any event. So that's a look at what's coming up.
Yeah, because the third alternative for those cars was Monaco, and quite frankly, I think that would have been too much Monaco.
Yes, too much Monaco, even though it's a different, and driving those cars at Monaco, I don't know. Something tells me it would have been very frustrating. Okay, now I'm starting to think that Austin's driving technique may be slowing him up. He's now, well, hang on a minute.
Well, if he can catch Grant, at least he can have a good amount of fun, and he's given a nice spectacle for everybody.
Yeah.
That's driving control for you, gentlemen. Maybe not the quickest thing,
but it's not. It's
certainly the most spectacular.
It may not be. It's not the. Oh goodness! Now he's bouncing off the barriers, so he's going to have to watch it. If he wants to get, if he wants to have an audience with Princess Grace, he's going to have to find another way to go quickly, because I think, given the way he's driving right now, it's not the kind of driving that will last 80 laps. I mean, it's been fun to watch for sure, but meanwhile, Guasan is still in 3rd place. So, you know, he's still well positioned if anything were to happen to these two up front here. And the fact that they're in the front is by no means a guarantee. I mean, this is Monaco. Anything can happen. I mean, for example, this turn right here. If you just get that wrong by a couple of pixels, you'll be in the drink.
I like that, by a couple of pixels.
Well, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, it's not centimeters, it's pixels here.
Yes, here it's pixels. So we're now on lap 38. So, believe it or not, we're coming up on halfway distance in this race. And I doubt we're going to have any tire stops, I would think. I mean, some people are stopping, but it's for damage, I think.
Yeah, tire wear shouldn't be too bad around here because there aren't really any fast corners, so You should be getting away with no tire changes unless you're really burning up the rears.
Speaking of which, I believe that we have. Oh, hang on a minute. I got.
User left your channel.
All right, let's see what's going on now. I believe we have some people in the. Yeah, here we go. I believe that it is busy in the pit lane right now. Let's see. Okay, never mind. There is. I thought there were people in the pits, and I am clearly incorrect. Fastest lap, Team Surtees Grant Riddall. So Grant has responded to the challenge that Austin is putting up, and oh, Austin just put up a fast lap too. So these two are really, they're going after it. And things have become pretty spread out here, but Yves Blase is up to 4th. Grant Riddall is 5th. So we actually, that means that we did have somebody drop down the order here. I'm not entirely sure who that was. Could have been Gerard. Oh, Gerard Rion is out of the race. As is Jonatan, of course, because we're talking to him. So we've got a situation now brewing where we're halfway into the race. If you're in Austin's shoes and you're about a second and a half behind the leader, how do you play out this second half of the race, Jonatan? What's your game plan if you're Austin?
Well, I don't really know Austin as such, but knowing the way he drives, I'd say he has to go all out because Grant will do the same. Unless he pressures Grant into a mistake or goes quicker than him, I don't think he'll finish ahead.
I'm starting to think that may be the case. And he is driving.
User joined your channel.
Oh, here comes Alberto back. He is driving a little more within himself now, it looks like. Yeah, he's not locking up nearly as much, but he is inducing oversteer on exit on some course. What? Oh my god! Oh no! Oh my goodness! He almost hit the BP thing at the apex of the turn. So yeah, any more of that could be a problem. I mean, that T-tray wing is not very useful. It's good at serving T, and it's also marginally good at increasing downforce. But I would wager that even without that dubious front wing, he would still have some problems. So he probably doesn't want to lose that.
Yeah. No matter how bad it looks, it would be certainly worse if the car is without it.
Well, I
just
mean,
talked a bit with David Jackson, Richard Wilkes. Neither of them are exactly in the mood for being interviewed.
oh, I would imagine no.
Neither of them has had a good weekend. So
Yeah,
that's what happens when you're not focused and not happy with the car or the track.
Yeah, and I would wager also that Jakes is also annoyed for technical issues he's had, and probably the driving of some other people during qualifying. I know he was trying to set a good lap, and he came upon people who, and to be fair, you can't really do much about people coming up on you who are on a hot lap at a track like this. It's very hard to get out of the way. You can do your very best to get out of the way, and you'll still be in the way. So, but I think there were a couple instances where he had people who were trying to overtake and weren't making room, or they were people who were coming out of the garage area, which is located behind the gasometer, and they were coming out when he was on a hot lap and screwed it up. So he's got plenty to be annoyed at right now.
And anyways, I can tell you that the track looks wider with these cars because the quicker you're going, which is what happens with modern Formula One, the narrower the track looks like. And of course, there being ever more buildings, ever more, I don't know, all kind of things that are concrete, cemented, everything, because Monaco is constantly gaining some pieces of real estate to the sea and always adding more things, more buildings and so. And the track is nowadays, I would say, of a much moral. narrower appearance than it was back then.
Yeah, you get the psychological problem of having it feel more closed in as the years go by because there's more construction. Even when I was visiting Monaco a couple of years ago, it was during obviously the race wasn't happening at that point, and they had absolutely torn up the Tabac section. Obviously, they were going to put it back together before the race next year, but there's always construction going on there, always, of some kind or another. Oh, man, he's really punishing those tires. Austin is coming out of the station hairpin.
Yeah, I guess he sees he has a new chance.
Oh my goodness!
Right.
Yeah.
Let's have fun.
If this was if we were giving points for artistic impression, I think we'd give a solid 9 points to Austin today. Because oh man, he's just looking fantastic in this car, and hopefully having fun. This is
I guess that's his driving style, and I mean,
yes.
If he tries to do something else, then it's very likely then it's not going to work, and it's just going to either slow him or make him lose his concentration.
It's probably true.
But if anyone had any doubt if these cars were like the real life counterparts and could be slided like that, there you have the proof.
Yes. Most definitely. All right, so we got Jonatan here, and things have calmed down a little bit, so maybe it's time for the trivia question answer, potentially, maybe?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Though I must
Yeah,
say
sure.
something. I must say something before that.
Okay,
How
go for
was
it.
exactly the question worded? Because Bugatti, as far as I know, never has said a Formula One.
Okay, well, we're considering all of the history of the Monaco Grand Prix.
Okay.
All of the history, not irrespective of governing body.
Okay.
So it's I'm glad you asked that because yes, that is a key portion of the. It's a key thing to consider in this question. So, the trivia question was, you ready, Jonatan?
Yep.
Okay. Trivia question is, McLaren has won more Monaco Grand Prix than any other constructor, 15 wins. Ferrari is second with 10 wins. Who is tied with Lotus for third place with 7 wins? Is it A, Mercedes, B, BRM, or C, Bugatti?
I'd probably guess BRM in that case.
Alberto?
I happen to remember that Hakkinen had some dominant performances there. It's also Hamilton. Yeah, I'd say Mercedes because I would have said Bugatti, but you said Grand Prix. And Bugatti won there in Voiturettes and other inferior classes.
So what answer would you say?
I'd pick Mercedes.
Well, that's the correct answer, Mercedes.
Oh, very good.
Yes. And they won it in 35, 36, 37, and then 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016.
Yeah, exactly, because I knew there were dominant performances from the Bugatti era, and then with Hakkinen in the 90s.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So better luck next time, Jonathan. Sorry about that.
Oh well.
No, though,
That's okay
you
for
must
me.
say that Mercedes wins because of adding those old Grand Prix wins. They were certainly Grand Prixes.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because people would have thought that was unfair if I hadn't mentioned that. Oh, well, I didn't know you meant pre-war, too. You know, yeah, well, there you go. And he's still letting it all hang out there. So the gap now is 2.5 seconds. So, yeah, it's looking like barring any... Well, we still have a little less than half the race to go, so you hate to, like, do our commentator jinx. Oh, goodness. He's at this point, you got to wonder if those tires are starting to say to him, come on, give me a break.
Yeah, though the thing is, for that style of driving, it isn't really that bad that the tires no longer have much grip. I mean, he obviously isn't going to go any quicker, but he isn't really going to change his style of driving because he's already sliding everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if he is going to be doing that at Indianapolis 74 also.
Oh, goodness. For those of you who aren't aware, there's fast and furious work on Indianapolis 74 going on behind the scenes. Whenever we are not here, we are just toiling like crazy to get that ready for everybody. And I think it's going to be a really interesting contest. Not a those people who lamented the fact that they were just being out boosted by a lot of people in 73. They won't have that problem this time, and it's going to be a lot more even competition, I think. And it'll be more about getting the setup right, maintaining corner speed, and being precise.
And surviving to the end.
Yes, which is also important in a 500-mile race. Yeah, he's really... Some of the sliding that he's doing, I don't think is by choice. I gotta be honest. I think some of it's...
It's a bit like the Kevin Schwantz anecdote that I have told many times.
It's funny because every time somebody comes by the pit area or the garage area, there's always a yellow flag that comes up, just simply because of the proximity of the cars in the garage area. But thankfully, the game doesn't get all...
I mean, if you would be fair, this track would be a complete yellow flag all around.
Yes, it likely would be. I'm just glad that... Okay, this is interesting because... well, it looks like you just overtook these two, but Jason Whitehead having a rather spirited moment here with looks like Ray Radal, though it's not a battle for position. This is another case where Whitehead is caught up with another car that's perhaps behind him on the or ahead of him on the track, but he's trying to drive quickly as well.
So Austin Johnson's last lap was 1:46. So something must have happened to him.
But the gap is steadily increasing.
Around 5 seconds.
There's one difference here that could potentially be interesting. He's not in shouting distance of him yet, but David Yunt is running in 7th place in the Jos Siffert Automobiles March, and just up the road from him is Michal Janik in 6th place in the Ferrari. So I don't know. We might see these two in contest before the race is over. I know that Michal would really like to add to those to that 1 point he scored in Kyalami.
Well, it's also the same distance. From both cases. While then Riddle. It was actually a 3-second chunk that he was able to eat there. 128 versus 125. And the distance between Grant and Austin is funny because sometimes it is up to 7 seconds, and now it's up to down to 4 point.
It accordions back and forth. It's hard to tell. One feature of these cars, and I mean, we've commented before about, and we mentioned the T-tray wing on the March, but looking at the, you notice this on the V12 cars in particular, well, also on the Ford cars, they have some very interesting ways of cooling the oil at the back of the car. The oil is usually stored with some of these cars in a big tank, and it has kind of a dry sump setup, I guess you would say. And they have two vertical ducts that lead back into the oil coolers, which visually looks really unusual because it here you're trying to promote a clean airflow. Oh goodness! I believe we have another accident at the well, the car's a Firestone shod car. We know that much. Let's see if we can find out who it was.
But what you were saying about the radiator.
Oh, it looks like it was Lucina.
Oh, really? Wow, that's very, very unfortunate because he was doing very well on that underpowered March Alpha.
I'm going to run it back, see if I can see what it was. It may have been too far back now for me to actually capture it, but we caught we caught the very end of it, and the tire was just kind of spinning on its edge there, so we only caught the very tail end of it. So that's really too bad because he had an excellent run going on. So with him retired, that brings Yannick up to 5th place now.
David,
Oh, no, wait. No, okay, wait. I see what happened now. It was Ray Radal that was out of the race. And the reason I'm saying that is because Mikael Yannick is now promoted to 5th, so it must have been Ray Radal. The retirement of God, there's so much going on. Martin Lucina, his retirement must have happened earlier because we just now suddenly see that we have Mikael Yannick up to 5th, and that also means that David Yunt is now in 6th place. So we have both of those drivers in the points.
Exactly, he's in the points position.
Yes, David Saber is in 7th, Mick Chapman 8th, 9th is Jason Whited, and Ray Radal, who is just out of the race, he's 10th, but he's going to be dropping down the order as the race progresses. Janik is in 11th, he'll eventually be 10th. Gerard Riant is also out of the race, so is Acerclinth. So really, right now, we have essentially 9 cars running.
Yeah, and still 31 laps to go.
Wow. Well, Jonathan, one more retirement, and you win the Cadillac Eldorado.
Cheers.
Yeah.
I don't
Second,
like being right about stuff.
second prize set of steak knives.
I'd rather have been given a point, but
I
I'll
know,
take
I
it.
know.
You can take the Eldorado and it will ruin you in the fuel bill in about 1 month.
Yes.
Probably right.
So Grant has just put another lap on David Saber. At this point, there's got to be very few cars in the lead lap, I would think. Let's have a look. Yeah, there are only 3 cars on the lead lap.
The podium, basically.
Yeah, it's basically the podium that's on. Well, I thought in old days it was just the winner that went on the podium at Monaco. Maybe I'm wrong, but in any case, yeah, the top 3 are the only ones who are on the lead lap.
I'm not sure about it, but I know they were invited later for dinner with Prince Rainier and Princess Grace.
I'd rather go to the Tip Top bar, to be honest. Although Grace Kelly, I don't know.
No, I would not miss that for
No, you're probably right. You can go to the Tip Top bar any day. Okay. So Grant is now doing his own Austin Johnson impression, letting the back end slip out quite a lot. I mean, it's not like he's under especially a lot of pressure right now. It's 5.4 seconds now, so. But I'll tell you what, he's definitely taking advantage of. I mean, not that I'm sure he, like the rest of us, is kind of bummed that his teammate Richard Coxon cannot be here, but he is making hay while the sun shines. If he gets this win, it'll put him solidly in the lead in the point standings.
And I would expected that Sartis to be closer to the private march. It's likely. It seems it's revealing itself as a better car than it actually would be expected to be, because I don't think that Grant is a better driver than Austin. We've seen that Grant, Richard, Austin, they are all on the same level. They are very good drivers, all at the top. And I would say that in the same car, Grant certainly wouldn't be able to run away from Austin Johnson. So the conclusion I extract from this is that the March is no match for these RTs.
Mm-hmm. Jonathan, you're more engaged over at ISO than I am. Is there a race coming up this next week there, or is it an off week?
I believe. Let's have a quick look.
No, it's an off week. I don't think we have any other until June, when we are continuing the Marcus Cup.
Yeah, it's we're off until the 17th of June, indeed.
Yeah, because the whole month of May is occupied with the Indianapolis.
Well, yeah, but
center.
I was thinking also of the. I mean, speaking strictly as a modder, I could use an open weekend any time I can get it, because it's you know, making the most of the time that you have.
That's a very fair point. It's indeed seems to be a off weekend for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, people have mentioned to me that, you know, it appears that HSO is running less events these days than we did in prior years. And truth be told, the answer is yes, that is actually what's going on. But what people may not realize is that behind the scenes, there's a bit less people actually doing the work than there have been in previous years. We have a team now of probably about 3 or 4. And in previous years, we've had a team of like 7 or so. So it's a bit leaner behind the scenes here. And
it's not easy also to be pushing new mods constantly out.
Yes, that's the other thing.
Calling also, you have to test and all
it's not a simple matter of hitting a button and releasing it. So and we had added issues this week with Richard's internet issues that really kind of threw a monkey wrench into the works. But thankfully, we got around it. And we had a bit of an issue at the start here where people were getting DQ'd because they ran over the line, but we kept our cool. And Alberto stepped in and got things sorted, and here we are. So it's always nice when you find that you can react under pressure well. Although I did almost, as people who are watching the broadcast have pointed out, we did almost have a radio show as opposed to a TV show. I forgot to put the video feed back up until just before the green light. So probably had a few heartbeats going fast for a bit, but
it's funny because you wouldn't nowadays even believe that such thing ever happened, but yeah, certainly there were car races broadcasted back in the old days.
Yeah. Well, I got
the Ontario 500, for example. We've had that in radios. One of our
I love listening. Yeah, I love listening to that race in radio. I've tried to float the idea of doing a radio broadcast instead of and put people at the corners like they did, actually, like have people like just going around the like counterclockwise as the cars come around and have them stay physically on that camera point and just comment as they come around. But that's a hard sell.
Well, you can maybe do that on an oval.
Yeah, it is devised for an oval. That kind of. I mean, if you listen to any of the.
Doing that in the Nürburgring.
No, you can't do it at the Nürburgring, but it
8 minutes they're standing waiting till the next car goes by.
Yeah, I know. You're basically checking the program, and but I think actually, like, if any of you have seen the Monaco Grand Prix of 1984, when it was pouring down rain, James Hunt and Murray Walker had an issue in the booth where they basically lost all their telemetry, and they didn't know where anybody was unless they came by the booth. So they said, and they actually said, like, Murray said, well, this is going to be old-fashioned ham radio now. We're just going to tell you who it is coming by the booth. And that's what they did until they got their telemetry back. But Alberto's right. That approach of having people on all those four of those corners, that's principally for oval racing. So it would work for that. It wouldn't work for much else.
It's there's a funny thing about the guy who had been the announcer and the broadcaster at the first Daytona 500 races. That happened, as you all remember, in a beach. Actually, it was they went. There was one of the stretches in the beach, and the other they went on the road that was there on the other side behind the buildings. And so, because people were bored to hell with that kind of track where they could not see what was happening on the other side, and he was broadcasting everything, he was standing there on a very high structure where he could see everything. And to make the races more interesting for the people, you would just see the pack come around every 4 minutes or something like that. What the guy was actually doing, he was blatantly lying to the people, because he was saying that this or the other guy, now he's coming fast, they're going to the next corner, oh my god, he's overtaking all that. And then when they were coming round the corner, he said, no, he's recovering the position, he's back. And when everybody saw them come around, as they were the previous lap, they really believed that something very important had happened on the turn that they could.
That's funny. That's funny.
And he was he was very well paid to do that and make the races more interesting.
So we're coming up close to, we're going to have about 20 laps to go here, or 3/4 of the race finished. And we're going to have to see if Grant can pull this out. What do you think, Jonathan? Is he looking at another win here? Jonathan has fallen asleep, I guess.
Sorry, what?
I'm
not quite paying attention.
No, that's all right. Do you think Grant's looking at another win here, as long as he can keep the thing pointed straight?
Yeah, I mean, as long as he doesn't crash, I have a hard time seeing him losing the lead at this point. But I mean, tie wear is a match is not that big of a factor, but the way him and Austin especially has been driving, it could very well become an issue in the last 10 laps.
I'd say that from what we're seeing on the screen, he's certainly right now taking care of his tires. He knows he has no need to do anything stupid.
Yeah, I'd say he's driving 9 or 8 tenths right now. Not. It's not putting an insane amount of pressure on the car right now. And the gap actually, well, you know, the gap speaks to that, because the gap has dropped to 3.8 seconds. So maybe he is letting up just a little bit, trying to save the car to the end. But we've seen that if he needs to, he can just turn up the wick. So if he sees Austin start to reel him in, he could very easily just then turn around and just, well, I'll just put up another fastest lap, and that'll be the end of that. The race we have coming up after this one is for F171 is Zandvoort, right?
I think so.
Yes.
That's a beautiful track.
Yes. Sand dunes. And very dangerous.
As with most tracks back in the day, to be fair.
Yes. Yeah, look at all those people just standing there right by the gasometer hairpin. Yeah, you know, no barrier, nothing.
We got Zandvoort, and then it will be going to Alberto in France.
Oh man, that's going to be fun, because especially because of the 1 mile straight.
Yeah, that
the back.
stretch is going to be really fun.
That'll be
Then we
nice
have
too, because you have a
British
lot of.
Grand Prix.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. Then we have the British Grand Prix, and then it's the summer break, and after that is the big dish. That's the Nürburgring Grand Prix.
Oh goodness.
That's in September. It's going to be a very busy September month.
I want to see if you guys can recruit somebody to broadcast for the Nürburgring, because I really want to try to run that one. All right, so let's run down the order right now with 20 laps to go in the race. Grant Riddall leads Austin Johnson by 5.7 seconds. Another 9 seconds back, and you have Greg Guassin, who has driven a very sensible race so far. in contrast to his previous two, where probably let the red mist get the better of him. Fourth place now is Mikael Yannick in his Ferrari. Fifth place, David. Oh, wait a minute. David Yunt now just goes up to fourth place, just now. Because there was about a 2-second gap between the two of them just a bit ago, and now suddenly these two are in contest. All right. We've got a race to watch now. So maybe Yannick made an error at some point.
Very possible.
Yeah.
Yannick was not exactly the happiest
Oh
guy
my
with the
goodness! I was wondering
car.
why.
The Ferrari is heavy.
I was wondering why we had this issue, and it's Yves Poisset is out of the race. This is why, because I found it surprising that Yannick would be in fourth place. Now he's down to fifth, but it is the retirement of Yves Poisset that promotes David Yunt to fourth place, Mikael Yannick to fifth. David Saber is now in sixth place in the other Matra Simca. And Mick Chapman is now in seventh place in the number 36 Tony Trimmer car. But this race is not over here for fourth place, as Mikael Yannick is closing back up again on David Yunt. So we'll see if he can counterattack here. Coming into the station hairpin.
Well, certainly the Ferrari is more powerful than
Certainly.
Mars,
Certainly.
But like I said, Michel Yannick wasn't happy at all with his car here, which to a certain extent was to be expected because, like we said, it's a very heavy car. And, well, also very powerful with that engine. And this track, because it's so bouncy, you have the tires continuously taking off from the ground. And that obviously isn't very good for the grip or for the traction.
It looks like he's keeping the gap constant for him. Don't pay attention to that yellow flag. He's got to be really careful coming out of these tight turns so he doesn't get the back end too squirrely with all that power he's got. Oh, he just glanced the wall there just a tiny bit. Got to be careful not to do that too much. Now Yunt is pulling out a tiny bit of a gap here coming up to Massenet. So maybe it's a question of the Ferrari or the 701 March handling better on empty tanks in this situation. I don't know, because that seems counter to what I was hearing from people in practice about the full fuel being better for the Ford-powered cars. You would think that the Ferrari would handle better on lesser tanks in this situation. And actually the inverse is going on.
In any case, so I guess it's a matter of balance of the car.
Yes.
So probably some Ford cars would benefit from that, but others likely not.
Yep. Also driving style plays into that. Some
Well,
people...
the Ferrari is a very loose car, so it could just be that with very little fuel in it, it's very, very loose for him.
Potentially, yes. Well, I mean, when we initially gave out the cars for this series, and David Yunt ended up getting the number 35 car, I mean, it was a bit of a nod to his nationality because it's a Joe Seifert Automobiles car, but and he's Swiss. But we were curious to see how he was going to do in this car, and he's had excellent results so far. In every race we've had, he seems to drive he has a better result in the car. So if he ends up finishing fourth here in a very inferior March, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, David is a quick driver, but above everything, he's a very steady driver. He's the guy who, at the end of the races, you always look there, and there he is, collecting some points. His absolute love in life is endurance racing, and you can really tell why, because he's very cool-headed, And most of the races, the few races that he has had to abandon or has suffered incidents, either they were not his fault or, well, it's been mechanical failures or something like that. But he really is very constant in his driving.
19 laps to go now. Ooh, see there, just there, coming out of the gasometer hairpin, the back end wanted to come around under acceleration. Excuse me. So yeah, it's with 12 cylinders, that's a problem at this circuit for sure.
Yeah, but we expected those 12 cylinders to work at their best at Kyalami, and look what happened.
Yeah, that I still find that really strange that that was the case. I would have figured it would have been a 12-cylinder show, and it was not. That really did surprise me a great deal. And the gap now is...
Right now in the 70s, in the early 70s already, I think that Ferrari was already a bit at a disadvantage using this 12-cylinder. I mean, until they moved to the newer car, the one that Niki Lauda brought to the championship, they really didn't get their act together for some years. But, I mean, everything in Ferrari always went around the engine. They wanted a 12-cylinder engine. They didn't want to go to a V8 or anything like that. There was no alternative for them. They either made it work like that, or they would be struggling.
It's true. And they were very late to the party on a lot of things, like monocoque construction. This car was still tubular construction, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so. Well, with the current Formula One regulations, when they took effect, I think that there was almost a heartache at Maranello when they had to put a V6 in the back of the cars.
Yeah, I can see that being a problem. Like this, not very romantic to do that.
Fortunately for them, Enzo Ferrari wasn't alive anymore, because otherwise I don't know what would have happened. Maybe he could have had the Ferrari withdraw from the championship.
Well, I mean, there was that one incident where they were thinking about going IndyCar racing, but a lot of people think that was maybe just a ploy.
Yeah, it was a bluff.
Well, Austin Johnson, even though he's, it looks like he's going to finish second, he is not soft-footing it or soft pedaling it. He's still going quite quick.
Yeah, the closest gap right now in the field is between David Jonatan and Michel Janac.
Yeah, that is the closest bet. Whoa! Austin letting it hang out again, coming out of the hairpin. And again, as he goes through Sandoval. Nice. Austin got a lot of TV time for the right reasons today.
He's really making his best to impress Princess Grace.
Yes. Personally, when Indy comes along, I'm going to be doing my best to impress Linda Vaughn. Or Linda Johncock, maybe also. Oh my goodness, did you see that? He just clipped those guys coming out of the tunnel. It's a good thing they weren't collision objects.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who put them there in the track when they did the original one, but I think it's murderous to be there.
Yeah.
Absolutely suicidal. But then again, back in those years, people were crazy.
Yes.
The reasoning was likely, well, if an idiot is going to step in one of those cars, which is basically a fuel tank that is waiting to explode, why
Yes.
not am I going to be here taking pictures of it?
I'd be curious to know what a photographer made in terms of money back then, and what kind of insurance premium they had to carry.
Well, in the famous Daytona '79 broadcast, it was the one with the snowstorm
And the fist fight at the end of the race.
Yeah, in the fist fight. I saw a documentary about it, and the team that did the cameras and everything back then, they explained it, and they said that they got, I think, what was probably the first monitored camera or telecommanded camera back then, because when they did some tests, they decided to put there the cameras at the outside of the turns, and they say, okay, this is the angle that we want, but nobody is going to be here behind the camera just in case. So they had to use remote control for that, because they realized immediately that it was absolutely crazy to be there in case something went wrong.
And Austin's looking fantastic. Just every time he comes out of that turn, it's just like you're treated to a massive fishtail. He's overtaking David Yunt now. That's probably putting a second lap on David, I believe. Yes. I'm thinking David Yunt's going to be quite happy finishing in 4th place, given the equipment he's running.
Yeah, unless the broadcaster's course kicks in again.
It won't.
All the screen time we are giving to Austin Johnson causes him trouble.
Well, okay, we'll go back to the leader then. It does appear that Mikael Janek is now maybe, well, it looks like it's 2.3 seconds away from
David Yunt, yes.
well, he's 2.3 in front of David Sabers, so there could be, well, now it's 2 seconds, so there could potentially be a battle there. Where is he? There he is. There's David coming through. So we've got 13 laps to go. There's a potential there could be a battle brewing. And I'll tell you what, I mean, the people who were having issues early in this race, like Brian Janik and Mick Chapman, these guys now find themselves in the top 10 simply because they hung around. And just to finish at this race, even if you don't score points, is a feat in itself. So that's not a bad afternoon, even so. And David's had his share of skirmishes. As we can see, the front of his car has got some dents in it.
Yeah, this is a new nose for the Matras.
Yes.
We had not noted that, but no longer that sports car nose, but proper winglets here.
Mm-hmm. And those of you who are looking very closely at the wing texture will note that it has Chrysler Penastars on it. Simca was had a business relationship with Chrysler at the time.
So I guess both Mata divers would have rather preferred the nose cone and, if possible, armored here.
Yes. It's hard not to be sentimental about the Matras because the cars just sound so fantastic.
So they've put now a lap also on Greg Wasson.
Yes. In fact, I think he might be actually fixing to go 2 laps down. Potentially.
That's been a dual race for him because he was never in danger from the guys that were behind him, and he didn't have a chance to catch up with the grass in front.
Okay, the gap now is closing. It's down to less than a second between Mikael Janek David Saber. So we could be looking at a battle here for 5th place in not too
Between
much
the two
time.
best sounding engines.
Yeah. There goes Mikael Yannick through the chicane, and here comes David. So yeah, the gap is definitely coming down. Yeah, gap is a little above a second now, 1.5 seconds. So, yeah, here we go. Here's the hairpin. Let's see. Yeah, it opened up a little bit. David.
Alex Placé had some reaction in the forum. He is very sad because he was doing a fantastic race.
Yes, he was.
He was in 4th position, and with 20 laps to go, bang, the engine blew up.
Oh, I think that's the 2nd engine failure he's had this year so far.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
So
Like Karam.
he's going to have to be a little bit more gentle with that that Matra engine if he wants to finish future races. That's too bad. I mean, if you're going to go out of the race here, you would think it would be the barrier that would get you. All right, so we now have 10 laps to go. Physically 10. So I'm going to go down the order here. First is Grant Riddall, who leads Austin Johnson by 3.9, well, 4.3 seconds. Now it changes like an accordion. 3rd, Greg Guassin. It is Tim Schenken, Brabham coming through the chicane right now. 4th, David Yunt in the Joe Siffert Automobiles March 701. 5th place is the Ferrari of Mikael Yannick, and getting ever closer to him in 6th is David Saber in the Matra Simca. 7th place, Mick Chapman. That's a great result for him if he can keep things going. 8th for Jason Whited, keeping it in there. And Brian Janik, the last car running, 1 lap adrift of his nearest competitor, driving the actually more modern Brabham than the one that Guasen's driving. Greg driving the BT33, Janik driving the BT34, the Lobster Claw. So we'll see if David Saber can reel in Mikael Yannick here. It certainly looks like it's possible. He's much closer now than he was just a lap ago.
Mm-hmm.
God, I love that Matra sound so much. You could listen to that all day long.
So Brabham is being today the luckiest team because it has one in the podium, that's Greg Lassen, and the other car, Brian Janik, is still there in the race.
Yes. Coming down to Mirabeau and then down into Station Hairpin. Yeah, David's definitely going to be able to catch Mikael before the race is over. It's just a matter of finding the right opportunity to get by. We haven't had our eyes on David much of the race, but he hasn't, at least from my perspective, he hasn't had much of a eventful race up until this point.
Yeah, probably not. He wasn't involved in
So in that case, his car is probably safe. Oh goodness, he's right up with Mikael now. Mikael pulls across, lets him go by. I'm thinking he just said, okay, fine. You're quicker than me. I don't want to spend the last 10 laps fighting.
We've mentioned many times that Michel Janak is probably the guy with the coolest head in the field always. He's very calculating, and he's the guy who will give you a fight if it's worth it.
if it's worth
He
doing.
will absolutely move away and try not to have any trouble with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Over the hill into Massenet. It's funny, these guys are clipping those curbs a lot more than I would have thought, and they're square. So it's not like running up on a curb at a regular racetrack. You're running up on a physical curb.
But one thing you can tell after these races is that our drivers have adapted very well to Automobilista, the flat spots and the new things. And it's as if they had been driving this all the time. You don't see any more people there with flat spots and undrivable cars.
And look at that, Austin Johnson still not giving up. 1 minute 21:207, and David Saber is now opening up a good gap on Mikael Yannick. So even though it appears that the race is over for Austin as far as the wind is concerned, he is not letting up. It's really impressive.
Well, he maybe is trying to force Grant into a small change of rhythm to see if he makes an error. Because
True. True.
You know, that's one of the hardest things to do, to make a change in rhythm without losing concentration. You suddenly try to go for different break points and things like that, and you also do that in a moment where your tires have been wearing out and you can't really use the same references that you did at the beginning of the race.
So Grant has completed 75 laps now. He's on his 76th lap, so 4 laps to go. 76, 77, well, 5 laps. 76, 77, 78, 79, and 80. And Grant ran really wide there going into into Massenet. What was that? Now he's into Casino Square, but that was he really missed the apex there, or the tires got locked up or something. His car is probably just spent at this point.
Well, if Austin Johnson's tires are not spent, then I don't think that Grant's should be. But that has reduced the gap to 2 seconds.
Just that little bobble.
Yeah. Well, not so little, but
No, yeah.
I'm sure that Grant, when he was heading for the wall, didn't think it was so little.
No, I'm sure that he puckered a little bit in the car when that was going on, but we'll see. We'll see how he responds on the next lap here.
It's difference is up again now.
All right, let's see how he does coming up the hill here. He's more conservative going through here now, but clearly he's having grip issues going through that through the Massenet into Mirabeau. He's coming up on Brian Janik now, who I'm sure won't make any trouble for him. Gets out of the way right at the station hairpin. Nice job. Into the tunnel. So the race is an hour and 3/4 old now. So, I mean, these races have been we've been turning these in at just under 2 hours, the last 3 of them. So, see if that trend continues when we get to Zandvoort. Probably will. This race, not exactly. This race is more around the 150-mile distance. It's not a 200-miler like a lot of the other races.
Which probably all those who ends up finishing would be thankful for.
Well, it didn't the race used to. Oh my goodness! I spy parts. It's Jason Whitehead's front wing. So where is Jason?
He's got one spot to lose. So
Oh, Jason White has lost his front wheel. His right front wheel. So I have a hard time believing he's going to keep soldiering on. I know he doesn't want to get a DNF, but good grief.
How long until the race is over?
Well, we've got another like 6 laps to go. Well, we have more like 4 for the leaders, but goodness,
Well, he could technically do
around
what I
8,
did
9
at.
minutes.
He could do what I ended up doing in Nürburgring in one of the endurance races. I parked in the garage for a while and brought it out to do 1 lap at the end.
yeah, he's now driving around the track on 3 wheels, and I'm thinking this is probably not something he wants to be doing. We probably want to step in here as administrators and tell him, no, you cannot do this. Would you agree, Alberto?
yeah, please.
Well,
do
at
that.
least tell him that he has the option of parking it in the pits and then do a lap when everyone else is finished to get a finish.
I would agree.
Yes,
Right,
I'm out of the server.
Yes,
so I
being
can't
that
do
you're out of the server, I will take care of that myself. I'm gonna have to go to the HSO logo for a moment here because I have to go back to the main menu. But
Tell
That's
him
very
in
unfortunate for him. He was having
capitals.
a good race.
In capitals as race control, and tell him to leave the track at once.
all right. All right, message has been delivered. Hopefully he will see it. See, this is where it becomes a problem when you're in a place where you have limited choice of where to be on the track.
And if not, you can kick him out of the races admin. I think you were logged in.
Yes, I am. I'll see if he pulls off when he comes down here. But otherwise,
We'll let him go to the front stretch if he doesn't pull over in the pits then.
no, he's not getting the message, unfortunately. Okay. Oh, wait, now he's pulling to the right-hand side. He's going to his pit box. But he's not going to be able to repair the car. So essentially, yeah, his race is run. That's really too bad. I mean, he wasn't in a points-paying position, but still. All right, now, so our leader, Grant Riddall, is now in his final lap. This is the last lap of the race. And the gap between himself and Austin is 1.7 seconds. So actually, he did give away a lot of that cushion in the last few laps. Combination of him, trying to take it easy through the chicane one last time. I'm sure that he's very glad that that's over with.
Hot lap now.
Well, gap is 2.5 seconds, so
He probably wants at last the quickest lap in the race.
perhaps. To the gasometer one last time. Grant Riddall comes around the corner, heads towards the start-finish line, and wins the Monaco Grand Prix. Austin Johnson will finish in second place. Fantastic drive from both of these gentlemen. Greg Guassin exiting the gasometer now too, and he takes home third place finish. Fantastic result for him after 2 disappointing races. David Yunt is now coming to the chicane as we speak, so he's got a little further to go, but a 4th place finish in a very old March is quite impressive. He just keeps racking up good finishes in this car. Comes to the hairpin. Very good result. 5th place for David Saber, making up for the disappointment of Yves Poisset. Top 5 finish for Equipe Matra Sports. Mikael Yannick already crossed the line to 6th. Mick Chapman is going to come across the line in 7th place in the Tony Trimmer Lotus. So all in all, a pretty good race. And actually, because of Jason Whitehead's, and Jason Whitehead is still on the track, he's desperate to finish this race. So, if we're going by equipment, Jonathan's prediction was correct. But technically, it looks as if we're going to have 9 finishers. I'm just glad that Jason was able to stay out of people's way on 3 wheels.
Yeah, it was a dangerous situation.
Yeah, not the best.
We have already said that in many races. So it shouldn't be forced like this.
All right, so that's the end of the race. We will now move to post-race interviews, and I'll go to the thing here and see if anybody is in the. Let's see. Well, we don't have anybody in the. That's funny. We don't have a green room section anymore. I'm going to make one.
So I guess that everybody's quite spent after this race.
Channel created. Channel moved. Channel moved. User joined your channel. Channel switched.
Yeah, it appears that.
There's Michel Janak.
Yeah, well, here's Michel. He just went into the green room. I'll bring him into the main broadcast.
User was moved to your channel.
There's Mikael Yannick. How you doing, man?
Hello. I destroy my front suspension in about 35 lap, and then I must buy 2 cars in rear from me because I can't keep it on the road safely. And
Channel created.
at the end, I did spin behind chicane in tunnel. And,
We saw that you basically pulled to the side and let David Saber by. Basically, we guessed you were concluding, well, he's faster than me at this point, and you didn't want to throw away a good result that late in the game. But another good result for you and Ferrari. Are you coming to grips with the car in terms of its handling? And I know that this wasn't an ideal circuit for that car.
I wasn't happy with the car from the start of the trainings. The car feels differently lap to lap, and I can't make it stable enough for me. And in the race, at the final 20 laps, I was fighting the car a lot because on the brakes before chicane, very unstable, and I nearly hit the walls in every lap. I must slow down much more than before.
Well, an excellent result still. Alberto, do you have any questions for Mikael Yannick?
No, because now that he has cleared up what happened to him, I know why he didn't put any resistance to David Saber.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Let's see who else we got here.
User was moved to your channel.
Mr. Yunt. Excellent result for you, sir. 4th place, driving the Joe Siffert Automobiles March. You just keep racking up good finishes in this car. Next stop for you is a podium. How did the race unfold for you?
I would not expect to finish this car on the podium now that we left Montjuic and Monaco behind us. So 4th is probably, well, that's a chance, but 4th is already much better than expected, because I didn't think possible to go up there. For people, not so many people would retire. But yeah, balance of the car wasn't there. It didn't quite like turn or balance on the car on turning or exiting turns. So I was never really pushing the car too much. And then the chicane, most of the time I just shifted down and rolled like through the chicane because I didn't want to crash there.
Yeah.
And just being patient, yeah, that was the key.
Well, if enough people take dune rides at Zandvoort, you might find yourself in another good position. So, yeah, I understand your point that these were the two, Montjuic and this one were the two crapshoot races. But then again, so maybe the Nürburgring. That may be another situation that could produce a good result.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I kind of like the test of the challenge of the skill because Montjuic is a very fast street track. Monaco is a still fast street track, and Notchleff is 7-8 minutes of where you just need to stay concentrated, otherwise you're off. So, yeah, I'm looking mostly forward to those races, but we'll see.
Cool. All right, the green room is empty. I'm guessing everybody's really tired and does not feel like talking. So, any last thoughts from my broadcast partners here, Jonatan and Alberto?
Well, I guess it was a race as we expected it. There was nothing there unusual. I mean, the quickest guy who did the most steady job got the victory, and we had barely 8 to 9 cars at the finish line.
Yep. Jonatan?
Well, the racing seemed to be close between many guys. The track took its victims as usual, and yeah, by the sounds of it, some very entertaining stuff to watch. So generally, just as expected.
So a very unpredictable Monaco race.
All right. Well, I want to thank Alberto for joining me in the booth for this race. It was a lot of fun, and thank you also to Jonatan for showing up. And my thanks also to everybody who raced today. We didn't have the most ideal conditions this week because we had the actual admin of the series was absent, and we had the issue at the start with some DQs, and we had to get things sorted. But everybody kept their cool, and we got this one in the books solidly. So thanks to everybody for their patience and perseverance. And I mean, those are two qualities that make racing at HSO as fun as it is for everybody. So for Alberto and Jonatan and Mikhail and David Gunt, this is Jason White saying so long from Monaco.
Thank you. Bye-bye.